What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Video Homicide, back with another movie to talk about. Today we're going to be covering the film from 1980, Shogun Assassin. Okay, now this film is notoriously used in the GZA's album Liquid Swords. It's sampled all throughout. It was actually the first way that I discovered anything about this film. I just thought it was like, you know, I knew that RZA was using a lot of samples from kung fu films, but you know, at the time when I was discovering these albums and songs and stuff, it wasn't like, you know, I knew which particular film each sample came from. Sometimes, like me and my buddy Tom used to watch kung fu flicks a lot. I haven't watched as much as I once did, but I remember the odd time you would just catch like, you know, a sword movement or like a quick little phrase, and I'd be like, oh fuck, that's from, you know, so and so song, you know what I mean? So big ups to the Wu-Tang Clan for shining light on a lot of films that might not have gotten light shined on them. Albums, you know, Raekwon's first album, Only Built for Cuban Links, has John Woo's The Killer all over it, and you know, I think The Killer, Shogun Assassin, you know, those are literally like Wu-Tang on cinema for me. But yeah, man, this movie is great. It's also important to point out that this movie was actually a re-edit of two films. So there's a manga back in the 1970s that came out, and it was called Lone Wolf and Cub. And there was films made about it, okay? And there was 6 movies. So in 1980, 1979, whatever it was, an American guy came along and re-edited the first 2 films and made Shogun Assassin. So if you're a fan of this flick and you don't know about Lone Wolf and Cub, there is much more for you to take in. So definitely go ahead, grab the Criterion edition of this, you know, beautiful box set. I've actually yet to dive into mine. And, you know, even the other day I was watching something on YouTube on the Criterion channel, and it was talking about, you know, the artists and a few other artists that did work on the Criterion edition. And then I really like started to study the box set, and I was like looking at it, and I was like, wow, like I didn't even realize that there was all these dead bodies, like almost like a road of dead bodies like on the cover. So it's very, very cool stuff. This movie, if you have yet to see it, it's pretty much your standard amazing masterpiece, okay? So like when I think of like really high quality films, even though this is a re-edit of 2 other films, I think you could watch this with any other you know, high ranking martial arts film or like samurai film of the time. Someone's fucking calling me, of course. It's Mike. I can't fucking talk right now, Mike. Actually, I learned a lot about movies from Mike, my Uncle Mike. But anyways, you know, if you take a movie like 36 Chambers of Shaolin, if you take a movie like Street Fighter with Sonny Chiba, rest in peace, you know, 8 Diagram Pull Fighter, The One-Armed Swordsman, there's a slew of these heavy hitter martial arts flicks that you need to check out. If you know any really good ones, leave them in the description of this video, because I'm constantly on the lookout for like high quality ones, you know, not like the super cheesy chop socky bullshit where it's like, you know, I've watched a lot of really bad martial arts films with Richie back in the day. Like I'm talking some bad ones, like but they were charming in their own way, you know. But I'm talking about movies where you know, like those almost like canvas rings that martial artists will train on, punch through the canvas or paper, whatever it is. I remember ones where it would be like such a delay, like it would be like hit, and then like a second would pass, like one Mississippi, and then you'd hear the rip or like the punch, like the classic, psh, you know. I love that stuff. So I really want to do a full-on, you know, really cool, in-depth video talking about the films and the manga. I've actually got a majority of the single-issue releases. I'm missing a few, but I think I've probably got, I don't know how, I'm looking at the pile right now. I don't know if it's 30 or less or more. But anyways, this movie, we'll talk about it as if this is its own thing, okay, which it is. So we got, I forget his name, Origami Ito is the character in the film with his son Daigaru. And Ito, I'll just refer to him as the assassin, or as the demon. Okay, we'll refer to him as the demon because even his son refers to him as the demon at one point. But anyways, the demon is a executioner for the Shogun, so for like this, higher up political figure kind of guy. And at one point they decide that they don't need him anymore. But this guy's like killed fucking hundreds of people for the Shogun. And one night they send their ninja assassins to the house, and they're supposed to kill the father. See, I feel like I'm quoting the fucking movie right now because there's a quote like that. They're supposed to kill the father, but they killed the mother. And then the demon he goes fucking absolutely, pissed off, and he gives his son a choice. He puts in front of his son a ball and a sword, okay? And he says, all right, if you choose the ball, or choose the sword, you join me. Choose the ball, you join your mother in death, okay? And the little boy, who's like a baby, who can't understand anything, he chooses the sword, like crawls towards the sword. The demon, he's like, your mother would be proud. So now it's the story of father and son on this road to a bloodbath, basically. So the demon becomes like a hitman for hire, and goes around, and he always charges the same price. I think it's like $1,000 or something like that. But it's really fucking cool because there's almost like no talking. Like if you watch, I forget what I watched it on, like some documentary, but there's so little noise or like sound in the film other than the musical score. And I've heard that in the Lone Wolf and Cub films, there's like barely any musical score. So it really emphasizes on the, secludedness. I don't know the word to use, but anyways, they go from little town to town, walk the path. They're constantly being stalked by the Shogun's ninjas. And it's really cool because there's all these scenarios in which, the cart, because the little boy is being pushed in like a cart, like a wooden baby carriage kind of thing, but it's tricked out. So there's like weapons galore. Like if you've seen Grease, like when when they're racing in Thunder Road, there's all these there's like these fucking spikes that come out of the rims of the car. They got things like that. The handle turns into like a big staff with knives on it. There's fucking guns attached to them at one point. Like really cool stuff. So there's these people that are trying to hire, or the Shogun has people trying to get other assassins to go after the demon, which are always fucking, not successful. And this is totally fucking weird, but tell me if you agree with this, if you've seen the film. The scene where the woman, because there's like this group of women assassins, and they're approached, the first time they're approached by like the leader, and she like jumps out of this suit, which is really fucked, and then she like runs backwards, I just always found that fucked up. Like I've only discovered this movie like maybe in the last, at best 10 years, and that's like being very, very, very like liberal with the years there. But fuck, some of my favorite scenes, of course, scenes near the end, like in the desert. All right, I love the scenes, with those three assholes. Like clearly, if you've seen John Carpenter's, I almost said The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. What the fuck is that movie called? Big Trouble in Little China. There's those three guys that have like the big, almost like wicker bells on their heads, if you want to call them that. And they're brought through here. There's a really epic scene, a really memorable scene where the one guy gets his throat cut, and he says like when they say, it's like real mystical at this part. It's like, or part, excuse me. He goes, they say that when your throat is cut at a certain, if your throat is perfectly cut, you can hear like winds or something. He's like, and to hear it from my own throat is ridiculous. And it's so fucking cool, man. So quotable. Like no wonder RZA like had a fucking field day with this, because everything is basically quotable. Some of my favorite scenes that involve the little boy is when the demon is like, because he barely sleeps, and it gets to the point, or he never sleeps, and then it gets to the point where he's pretty damaged, and he passes out, and the little boy he goes to this little statue of Buddha where people have given offerings, and he takes off his like jacket and puts his jacket on there and takes a couple of like little couple little treats or snacks. They almost look like little tiny like buns or something, and it's like the kid is raised well because he knows not to just take, he gives as well. So I like that. And then another part where he needs to give his father water, and he goes down to the river, and he like cups the water in his hand, but when he gets back up to the path, he looks in his hands and the water's gone. So he goes down there and he puts it in his mouth, and then he comes back up and he drops the water from his mouth into his father's mouth to give him a drink. And I really like that stuff. So at one point, the little baby cub, he's like Dejaro, he's in like peril where all these assholes have him like wrapped, chained up, and they're gonna like dunk him into this well. And you know, the demon is like not having it, even though he's like, you know, the kid's ready to die. Like, you know what I mean? It's very brutal. Okay, this is not the kind of movie that you put on in front of grandma unless your grandma is a fucking OG. Okay, you know, even on the back of this, I'm reading like influencing everything from Jizz's 1995 Liquid Swords album to Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 2. A quarter century after its initial release, it remains one of the most deliriously violent and action-packed films of all time. So, I am now highly interested in checking out the other the other 6 films in the installment. And once I've watched all those and I've read the comics and all that stuff, that might not be for a short while. Okay, I'm not gonna deny I can't just fucking sit there and watch 6 movies and then read like an entire fucking series of comics like overnight. But I wish I could. But that video will come in the new year, 100%. I just have to get a few other little single issues. Like I've got the omnibus for, you know, Volume 1 omnibus, but I just feel like I cannot get my head around like having to buy fucking like rebuy all these omnibus, even though I have the single issue. So I'm just gonna kind of hunt, you know what I mean? Hunt on the cunt kind of thing. But anyways, I appreciate everybody for watching the video. Make sure you leave a 666 in the comments. More videos coming this week, and I appreciate all of the support. You know, you guys are fucking dope. Shout out to everyone that watches the videos, and adios.